Hello friends in YouTube land, this is Carrie, and yes, it has been a long time since I made a video, so I'll start off by making my excuses for what's been going on. Number one, yes, we are indeed down to 30 days and counting before I leave for Thailand for my bottom surgery with Dr. Chenoweth. And so part of this has just been me being busy with preparations, so that's one of the reasons why I've been kind of slacking. Reason number two, I've been extremely lazy and just didn't feel like doing it because laziness. And number three, my work friends, Ryan, Steven, and Kristen, have gotten me re-involved with a certain childhood passion of mine, card game crack. Excuse me, I mean Magic the Gathering. Same difference. Also, I have actually started working on... One of my dreams was to make a YouTube channel based on animation, and I'm also possibly going to be doing a gaming channel now. I'm going to put the links to those channels here and here. Fair warning, I only have one video on each channel. On this channel, it's nothing but me opening a gift box of Shadows over Innistrad, which probably not a lot of people will be interested in. And this one is, I have one fully written, fully edited video of the top 7 worst anime shows of winter 2015. I am not really happy with that video. I put a crap ton of effort into it because it's kind of what I've wanted to do for years now. But I'm still kind of finding my style, and I feel like I was a bit too angry and judgmental, so I tend to be a lot nicer and calmer in real life where, you know, it's kind of more in that video. I was trying to, you know, do the anger as being funny thing, which I don't think I found my balance yet, but I am going to be putting videos on both channels in the future because as time goes on, I expect that I will be moving in more and more to my other hobbies and less with trans stuff. And it's nothing personal, it's just that's what post-transition life is. You go back to doing the things that you enjoyed before, you get back to doing your hobbies, and life goes on. And you just don't hate your body as much anymore. Alright, so anyway, since I only have 30 days left before I leave for Thailand, and it's been like 3 months since I made a video, I decided that I'm going to do something special for the subscribers here on my trans YouTube channel. And I am going to count down my departure from this country and onto the blessed foreign shores by doing the 30-day trans challenge. So basically what that is there is a challenge someone posted on DeviantArt. I'm going to link that. There. Yep, this one. And every single day that this challenge happens, basically you answer a different question on your YouTube channel, and you do a video every single day answering a different question, and just keep doing it for 30 days. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to give you guys a video for the next 30 days straight, just answering a random question about being trans, and then at the end of that, it's time. We are off to Thailand, and so excited. Okay. So anyway, here we go. Day 1. The question is, when did you realize that the term transgender applied to you? So I don't know if I've actually told this story here on this channel before, but the experience of gender dysphoria for me as a teenager, the first time that I really experienced dysphoria was mainly when puberty started happening. Especially when my voice started changing. I was a rather celebrated singer in the Tampa Bay Children's Chorus and also in my school choir at the soprano position. And when my voice started changing, I freaked the hell out. And it was just like, no, why is this happening to me? No, this isn't my voice anymore. And then around that same time, all of a sudden I started finding myself jealous of women and wishing that I was them. And I wasn't exactly sure why. You know, I was young. I didn't quite understand it. And another thing is that, you know, puberty started happening. So for the testosterone, that means growing body hair everywhere. That means that you start growing facial hair. It means that certain dangly bits enlarge and start getting in the way when, as a kid, you don't even notice them. So all of a sudden, it's like my body was just doing all of these things, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And all of a sudden, I started, wanting to shave and get rid of all that disgusting hair. And I started wanting, the desire to tuck started happening because, well, things started becoming uncomfortable due to the increased size of puberty. And so, I realized pretty young, a lot of people who are first experiencing dysphoria, puberty is a very common age for that. If you actually look at the WPATH standards of care, usually there is childhood gender nonconformity where somebody plays with more feminine toys and tends to have more girls as friends, but that's not the be-all end-all. The real dividing thing is there's a lot of kids who are gender nonconforming as kids, but not all of them are trans. And the divider is usually the body dysphoria that happens at puberty. And if the kids, and I'm going to link quickly to a lecture by one of the leading, I forget what his exact title is, but he works with trans kids. And he talks about in this lecture how the defining feature of being trans is when, as a child reaches puberty, that is usually when their permanent mental defined gender clicks in.
Now, of children who are fairly persistent in their cross-gender play but are prepubertal, only about 20% will go on to be transgender. 80% are not going to be transgender. What I would say to parents is that if your child is getting close to puberty, or worse, is already in, and is showing this kind of behavior, particularly underwear wearing and saying I'm the wrong gender and binding breasts, etc., then you need to get help for that child fast. And that may be calling your pediatrician and ask for a gender specialist to meet with your child. Because a child who is, according to the Dutch and us and others, a child who holds on to the belief that they're in the wrong body at the onset of puberty feels like Pinocchio becoming a donkey and may well take their life. So these are the kids who are the real deal.
I pretty much knew immediately. So, as soon as 13, 14 hit me and all of a sudden puberty started, I started realizing, I don't want body hair, and I don't want my voice to change, and I hate how my face is changing, and I'm starting to look like a man, and And almost immediately, another thing was that I personally preferred, more revealing clothes, which I got made fun of for a lot. So I realized pretty immediately, wait a minute, how come girls can do this? Wait, they don't have to have their voices changed, and they get to have that beautiful, smooth, soft skin that I can't have because of all this gross hair, and, their faces aren't turning into man's faces. They're keeping those, cute, childish features, and it was like, and they don't have to have penises, they don't have to deal with those stupid dangly bits that get in the way constantly, and I can constantly feel it down there, just, And so I realized pretty quickly that what I wanted, that, mentally, I was wishing that I was a woman. That was, immediate. So, to me, I realized that the term transgender applied to me very early. But, and this is a big but, I refuse to admit it. Basically, as early as 16 or 17 years old, I was looking at stories of people who had gone through sex reassignment surgery, and I was wishing that I could have it too. And, but I did not know about hormone replacement therapy, and I did not know that somebody who was as big as I was would actually have their musculature and their skin and all that stuff change with hormone replacement therapy. Because of media misinformation, where everything about trans people was just focused on surgery, I thought that every single trans person, the only reason that they looked like women was because they'd had surgery. I thought that their boobs were fake. I thought that their hips were fake. I thought that they had like tummy tucks to get a curvy shape. I thought that, that they would always have the male skin texture. And because I was so big and had a very big neck and big shoulders, I thought there was no chance that I would ever pass. So I pretty much dismissed the notion and continued to hide, even though I knew what I was feeling was exactly what trans people feel. And even though I knew I wanted sex reassignment surgery if it was possible, although family issues got in the way too, I was terrified of what mom and dad would think, I basically suppressed it. And so even though I knew that the term trans probably applied to me, again, I just assumed it was impossible because I didn't know about hormones and I didn't know that it was possible. So now if we're talking about when I actually admitted, yes, I am trans, that happened when I was about 26 or 27. Basically, after high school, I went through a very stringent repression phase where I tried to pray the trans away, essentially. As a high school gift for graduation, I got The Purpose-Driven Life, which is a Christian book from my neighbor, Mrs. Watanabe. And I finally read that in about 2006 when I was about 19, 20 years old. And finally I realized, you know what? This dysphoria is tearing my life apart. I'm spending every single hour of the day wishing that I was a girl and writing all these stories about it and just consuming my mind with this overwhelming desire to not be in my own body anymore. It's ripping my life apart. I've got to get over it. And so I started trying to pray it away. And that lasted for about another 7 years. 6 years. But to the point where I actually became a religion major in college. I don't know if I've even mentioned this, but I was a dual major in religion and Christian education in college. So, I wanted to be a teacher at a Christian school. That was actually my life goal at one point. I tried so hard to fight it for so many years, and it wouldn't go away. Basically, this is kind of how gay conversion therapy, or in my case, self-inflicted trans conversion therapy tends to work, is that it feels like it's working at first. You feel like, yes, I am finally conquering this thing. I am no longer a prisoner. It's going to be gone. I'm going to get over it. Yeah. But then, after that initial period of success, it starts creeping back in. And you start it kind of bleeds back into your life, and you have to realize what you're doing and basically stamp it down again. And this cycle keeps going. This is what's often known in trans communities as the binge and purge thing, where basically you find yourself following what your head wants to do, which is, make your body as close to what your mental image of yourself is as possible by tucking, in my case, by buying water balloons and giving myself fake boobs and writing trans fiction where I could transport myself mentally into the body that I wanted to be in. And then you turn around and you're like, damn it, I'm doing it again. I'm supposed to be over this. And you purge it. And you get rid of all the stuff and you vow to never do it again until, of course, it creeps back in. And this cycle just keeps going and going and going. By the end of college, I was breaking down. It was like, God, I've been praying for you to take this away from me for like 6 years now. And it's still coming back. And I still can't get over it. And I am still miserable. And I still hate my body. And I'm still spending so much time just being jealous of women, and I cannot get over it no matter how much I pray. What is going on here? And that was when I started thinking, maybe I'm not supposed to get over it. Maybe the actual thing that I had to do was to quit trying to be someone that I'm not, which is this perfect, white, straight, cisgender Christian, and just accept that I was loved no matter what form I was in, because that's who I was. And then as I started getting into that mindset, it took a lot to get over all of the self-hatred that I'd hammered into my own head for all those years. But when I actually started going online, allowing myself to participate in, allowing myself to explore the opportunity again, there was a part of my mind where I was like, nah, this can't be me, internalized transphobia, basically. And finally I started going on to trans forums, and that is how I found out about HRT, and as soon as I looked at all the effects, softer skin, hair regrowth, decreased sex drive, basically turning into a girl. And I was like, oh my God, I want that so much. So I decided, and eventually I said, well, you know what? There's a way to know if this is real or not. And I decided to start a hormone trial. I decided to try it for a month and see how I felt. I felt completely amazing. It was like a switch turning from off to on in my head, where all of a sudden, this dull gray drear of fighting and misery and just constantly having to deal with this sense of dread hanging over my head, where it felt like everybody else around me had something that I didn't, just went away. And I started comparing stories with other trans people, which I couldn't do before because I did not let myself, indulge the thought and go onto the internet and explore it, or even talk to a therapist or other trans people about it because I was so embarrassed to admit it. And I quickly realized that what I was feeling was exactly what every other trans person in the world was feeling. And then YouTube happened, and for the first time in my life, I realized transition was possible. And that was when I officially embraced the label of trans and said, I'm going to transition. There's no other way that I'm going to be happy. And here we are, 3.5 years later. And I'm doing great. I've got a great job. And I do still occasionally have bouts of dysphoria because my body will never be that of a cis woman. And I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to forgive myself for that because it happens. But, I don't feel that sense of dread hanging over me anymore. And when I'm at work, I get to be myself. This is one thing that is very underrated with transition, is that before I could not be myself fundamentally. And it's not because I wasn't giving myself the freedom to express myself. Trust me. Before transitioning, I said, all right, you know what? Here's the last ditch effort. I do not have to transition in order to be the person that I want to be. If I am upset with guys being treated standoffishly and in a tough dude respect kind of way, I can change that. I can wear the softer clothing that I want. I can act in a more open, expressive, feminine manner, but I don't have to transition. And very shortly after trying that, I realized it doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter what I act like, what my personality is, what people treat me like. I'm never going to be happy with my body unless I transition. So pretty much embracing the trans label was a very slow process for me, but eventually it all worked out. So there we go. All right. So that is, let's see. I guess that's my story. That is day 1 of the 30-day trans challenge. I will be back with day 2 tomorrow. Bye, lovely people.